You are not listening to Mariah Carey, but you are listening to the sound of holiday music in New Haven. Welcome to Acoustic Thursday at Studio 51 on WNHH-FM. And we have the pleasure today of hosting New Haven Kapelye All-Stars, the core, the three-person at the heart of New Haven's klezmer orchestra, New Haven Kapelye. And because it's holiday season, specifically Hanukkah, they're a busy group, but they made time to come in today. Welcome to David Chevin, Will Bartlett, and Dana Assman. Thanks for coming on the show, folks.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
And Dave, we mind getting your mic a little closer. So I did notice, so New Haven Kapelye performs as an orchestra, and the three of you, we've been seeing you around town as a trio, playing in jazz venues, and now you're going to be kind of busy for the next few weeks because it's Hanukkah coming, right? You get a lot of gigs.
Yeah, we've actually been playing Hanukkah concerts since late November.
Oh, really?
Well, Hanukkah falls at a really funky time this year.
Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah. Yes, it falls on December 25th and then goes right through January 1st. So that makes it very tricky to do things during Hanukkah. So a lot of places that might have had us closer to Hanukkah had us earlier. So
I see that you're going to be December 15th. You played the first ever Hanukkah klezmer concert at the Wadsworth Athenaeum's Festival of Trees and Traditions.
So I'm told.
How'd that go?
We had a blast. We had a great time. They really enjoyed us, and it's a beautiful space. I don't know if you've been at the Wadsworth during that time of year, but
we actually ran an article about all the trees they decorate.
All the trees. It's just so beautiful. There's trees. There's menorahs. There was a high school choral group before us doing a lot of Christmas music, and so we just came in and did some klezmer dance music and a few Hanukkah.
This kind of klezmer is traditional Yiddish Jewish music, right, from Eastern Europe. It's now been adapted a little bit with some instruments from this side of the pond, right?
Yeah, I mean, the accordion and the clarinet were definitely instruments you would have heard in Eastern Europe if you went to some tavern, say, in, I don't know, Turnipole.
And you didn't hear the fiddle more than the clarinet?
Well, it really just depended on who in town was a musician and what they were doing. The older klezmer groups had fiddlers, but a lot of clarinets were coming into play because a lot of musicians were playing not just in klezmer groups, but in military bands. So
klezmer is traditional music. Is it accurate to say it was often for dancing at weddings and other simchas, right?
Yep.
And then when it came to the U.S., it got very much embedded in the jazz scene, right?
Well, the musicians found that their familiarity with klezmer made it easy for them to transition into jazz gigs.
And vice versa, Don Byron and people like that, right? You had traditional jazz musicians who dived into klezmer.
Exactly.
Now, what is it about the music that fit together? Because it's not like what you hear. It's not like bebop. It's not like straight ahead jazz. You know, it's a very minor key, right, and everything. What is it that made klezmer fit with jazz?
If you listen to the jazz of the 1910s and 1920s, it all has that same kind of two-beat feel. Mm-hmm. And so there's a real crossover between jazz and klezmer. In fact, there's a tune that we play. I wasn't planning to play it today, but we could play it right now, in fact. It's an old tune by a band called the Original Dixieland Jazz Band, which was one of the earliest bands to record jazz. And they have a song that has a whole klezmer feel in it called Palestina.
And then now, is that about Palestine?
Oh, yeah.
And does
old Palestine,
right,
old British Mandate Palestine.
Did it then become part of the klezmer canon, or are you the first group to then give it a klezmer feel?
Some klezmer musicians play it, and some klezmer musicians avoid it.
Why is that?
Because some klezmer musicians don't want jazz and klezmer to be elided.
Why?
Because they don't.
But isn't that what music is?
Because they come from a different practice, and that practice is all about Eastern European dance music, of which klezmer is a part.
But I thought part of the beauty about the revival of klezmer in this country is the way it was embedded with jazz and how it created something new and old at the same time.
But Paul, you know that no race, no faith, no culture, and no music community is monolithic.
Right. So Palestino, but you play it because you embrace that tradition, that idea.
Because I embrace the crossover. I was born in America. My parents were born in America. My grandparents were born in Eastern Europe. But a lot of my traditions come from American traditions and not just Eastern Europe.
Okay.
Would you like to hear a little bit of Palestine?
I would. Are you guys up for that?
We're up for it.
Dana and Will and David here on Acoustic Thursday in Studio 51 at WNHH FM, Palestina. Palestina, performed by the New Haven Kapelye All-Stars here on WNHH FM's Acoustic Thursday, featuring David Shevin on the bass, Dana Assman on the accordion, Ian and Will Bartlett on the clarinet. Well done, folks.
So tell me something, Paul. Could you hear?
Could you get the mic a little closer to you? There,
could you hear the mix of the klezmer and the jazz in that
Well, tell
one?
me if I heard this right. I heard it in the middle of the verse. I felt like it had this major sound, very Dixieland, and then I felt like it turned sort of a minor key diversion. But was that accurate?
Well, that's definitely a way of hearing your way into the mix of the klezmer.
But it sounds like it's not accurate.
Jazz.
What made it into klezmer?
Well, so to me,
at times
that,
I felt I was
me,
hearing Dixieland, parts felt it was jazz.
That Will was playing that. Ya ba 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 da ba da ba ba. That's a very common klezmer gesture. Ya da da da. That you hear all the time in klezmer musicians. You also hear the old chazonim, the old cantors doing that, especially in that time period. So it strikes me that that whether anyone in the band was Jewish or knew someone Jewish, they'd heard some singing of Jewish melodies, and they were trying to capture that.
And you said 1910 it was written.
Like 1915.
Dixieland Jazz Band?
Yeah.
And so was this the beginning of when klezmer and jazz cross-pollinated in America?
Yeah, because it's when it's around the time of the great
migration from Eastern Europe. It was actually a tail end,
from
right?
the Russian Pale settlement to the United States. And
yeah.
so all these musicians are coming over, and they're looking for work, and they're finding that some of what they do as klezmer musicians connect, and they can play American swing, or at least the swing of that moment.
So then what brings us to Hanukkah now. You guys are playing at Hanukkah, and you list these concerts you play as Hanukkah concerts, holiday shows.
Yep.
The songs you play, are they specifically songs that are associated with Hanukkah, or is the fact that it's klezmer, and that's the music, especially Ashkenazic Jews played at holidays, is what makes it Hanukkah music?
We have a whole repertoire of Hanukkah music that we play this time of year. We play, I Had a Little Dreidel. Of course, we play it, in a kind of fun way. Dana just completed a really, really fun arrangement of Hanukkah in Santa Monica, the old Tom Lehrer tune. So I would say easily half the repertoire is just Hanukkah music, but played just like people would go, or I'm told, people go to Christmas concerts and they sing Christmas songs and Christmas carols. So we do some version of that.
And what's the other half? Just straight ahead klezmer?
Just some straight ahead klezmer, try to get the...
So how does it feel? We've all grown up, at least I'm Jewish, you grow up in America and you feel oddly about Christmas. I remember being in elementary school in a choir, and all of a sudden they said, now we're going to do Silent Night. I said, what? And then there was always one song, it'd be either dreidel or something. And I felt like, you don't have to add that on. I mean, it's a Christmas concert, right? And Hanukkah's not a major holiday, but in America we feel like it is because it's almost like our Christmas. Do you feel that way as musicians who do Jewish music, that you have a role to play at holidays? Dana, what do you think?
I mean, I think to some extent Hanukkah is a big deal in America because it's our compensation holiday.
Yeah.
Okay, we get something, but since that's where the repertoire is. That's where there's so many Hanukkah tunes and there's a lot to do. And so it's fun. It's fun to dig into some of that repertoire, and it would be cool if we also had a glut of Passover concerts and Rosh Hashanah concerts, but I'll take what we have because there's a lot of joy in it.
And when you were in Hartford at the Wadsworth, that is a Christmas tree setting, and they're kind of saying, it's very well intentioned. They say we want to include Jewish people in your holiday too. I've just always had a very mixed feeling about that, but I wonder if playing the music might be a nice way to ease over that discomfort. I don't know if that's true for you guys or not. Do feel a part of things, but on your own terms.
We can always find the dark side in any shiny event, Paul. It's not hard. And unfortunately, and I'm very sorry about this.
Positive.
I drive by these billboards for lawyers and whatnot, and all of a sudden, it's like, hire me for your accident. And by the way, there's some tinsel on my billboard, and I have to think just how crass the commercialization is, and how hard it is to coexist.
And people feel that way in all face. They prefer the non-commercial, which is where the music like this comes in.
I think so, but you would not know that from the glut of Christmas movies, and just every time I go anywhere, I see an ad, and all of a sudden there's, as I said, tinsel, or a person wearing a red coat with white muff. Mm-hmm.
So this week you got 3 concerts coming up within days of each other.
3 that you know about.
Oh, there's more. So holiday show Saturday night, December 21st at Best Video in Hampton, 7 p.m.
Yep.
Monday at 7 p.m. you're going to Tower One. That's gonna be. Is that gonna be in that beautiful new space they have in the front?
Yes,
the lit space.
we're gonna be in.
That's gonna be
new,
awesome.
Beautiful space.
And then on Wednesday, December 25th, you're doing the concert you always do, which is on Christmas Day, which also happens to be at sundown, the beginning of Hanukkah,
right,
at 4 p.m. at Congregation Michigan Israel, which I found out you have to get tickets for. I guess the demand is so high. You don't have to get tickets.
We just recommend it.
You can still come?
Oh, you can still come and pay at the door. Absolutely.
Okay, but you can also go to the Michigan Israel website and get that. So did that used to be a concert by Afro-Semitic Experience?
Never.
It was always the New Haven Kapelye.
It wasn't always the New Haven Kapelye. It was always a concert. And then over time, the Kapelye really founded as an organization about 10 years ago. But there's always been
I remember you guys on the green.
Right,
was
but
10 years.
that was about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we can't.
I feel like it's such a big part
we,
of the
we
city
were
now.
we always existed, but we didn't really have a name. Jim Serling, who's I think 91 now and still plays with us on clarinet, came up with a name for the group.
And how many people do you have in the group? I know it shifts.
So
it's a real community
So on
orchestra.
any performance, we have 15 to 20 people. We have an email list, a group email list of about 60. And for December 25th, I know that at least half a dozen people who've played in the past who live in other parts of the country and are coming east are going to be with us.
Fun. And how did it get what does New Haven Kapelye mean? I mean, it's a play on new, N-E-W spelled N-U.
Right. So, yeah, the New Haven part's easy. Kapelye is just the Yiddish word for a musical group. And a lot of the klezmer groups were called this Kapelye or that Kapelye, the Odessa Kapelye.
And what made you want to do New Haven Kapelye? Why did you want to have a klezmer orchestra in New Haven? A community orchestra.
Well, I love big band music, and I was enjoying making klezmer, so I was discovering that I was getting 4 or 5 people to play a single part, and I couldn't say no to anybody. It's just great when you have a community ensemble that people show up.
I know it means a lot. Now, Will, you were already playing with David in the group. Dana, how did you get linked up to this?
I mean, I knew David from Michigan, Israel, and I had played piano for a long time and dabbled in accordion, and I loved klezmer, so I just started showing up. And one of the things about the Kapelye is that it makes room for either beginner musicians or musicians who are beginning on a new instrument to just learn their craft as they play.
So you didn't grow up playing accordion?
Not really. My brother played.
Oh, yeah. So how did you take it up?
I had my uncle's old accordion, and I'm a musical nerd, so I just started playing around with it.
And how did you get to klezmer? Was that through David, or were you already doing that?
I was already doing that. I had done a lot of reading in grad school and a lot of listening, and I used to go to a klezmer brunch in Toronto where I went to grad school, and so I had just really loved it, but hadn't really found my way to playing it until I started hanging out with the Kapelye.
And what is your connection to klezmer? Why does it speak to you?
I mean, some of my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and it's the music of Eastern Europe. It's the music of the culture I come from, and it, even regardless of that, it's beautiful music. It speaks to me, and
Will, your background is more straight ahead jazz, or what did you start out in?
Yeah, that's correct, Paul. Yeah, I was a straight ahead jazz musician, trained and working full time at that. But
When and where was that?
I grew up in Maine, actually, and went through a jazz program at the University of Maine at Augusta, and that started a group that started playing essentially bebop full time all around the Northeast, and then eventually I moved down to New York and started doing a lot of just the standard musician kind of things like wedding gigs, and I ended up playing a lot of Jewish functions, weddings and bar mitzvahs.
And you're not Jewish, correct?
No, I am not. Yeah,
But you ended up being at a lot of bar mitzvahs, so you ended up picking up the music.
Doing a lot of those functions, learning a lot of that style, and then as David and I started working together, it was more and more and more of that.
By the way, regular listeners to WNHH, you hear Will and David all the time, because if you know our playlist of local music that we play all day between shows, that you often hear the Afro-Semitic experience of some really, really wonderful playing. I consider it a real voice of our station. So we have the New Haven Kapelye All-Stars, the core of New Haven Kapelye, David, Will, and Dana. Would you like to play a Hanukkah song for us for the season?
Yes, we would. We're going to play something that's a little more obscure. We're not playing O Hanukkah, O Hanukkah. This is an old...
Santa Monica sounded fun. Oh, exactly.
or
No.
Those are great tunes, but we're going to play something that I don't know a lot about its earlier history, but it's composed by a guy named Morris Rosenfeld, and it's called O ihr kleine Lichterlach, O you little lights. All right. 2, 3, and... 1 second.
Oh, this is concert. Okay, all right.
Right. 3, and...
you little lights, aka the name in Yiddish,
Oh, ihr kleine Lichterlich.
like the lights on the menorah that are
Exactly.
the defining feature, really, of the Hanukkah holiday. And we have Hanukkah music and klezmer music, and the two combined from New Haven Kapelye, New Haven's decade-old klezmer orchestra, and the core trio of all-stars David Shevin, Will Bartlett, and Dana Assman here on Acoustic Thursday on WNHH. So how did it come off that the three you broke off from New Haven Kapelye to perform smaller gigs around town at clubs doing jazz and klezmer?
COVID. I blame it all on COVID.
Tell me more.
So, deep in the midst of COVID, I can't even remember when. Maybe the two of you do. I don't. I learned that if we wanted to, we were welcome to go over to the farmers market that takes place every Saturday over in over in Worcester Square. It's no longer Worcester Square, but it's right by Worcester Square. It's at one of the schools there. So we would go and play for 2-3 hours every Saturday morning at the farmers market.
We being the three of you.
The three of us.
Because you couldn't
Sometimes
get a
other
whole group
people.
together during COVID.
But we weren't allowed to have more than that. And sometimes other members of the Kapelye would fill in if Will couldn't make it or if Dana couldn't make it. But for the most part, it's been the three of us, and we've been playing pretty consistently. And we've continued to play at the farmers market now and then since COVID. In fact, we'll be there when they start again the first Saturday of January. I know there's sort of an oddity of playing klezmer on Shabbos, but that's just how I
No, it's not. I don't think it's an oddity at all.
I love it.
I'm interested in the three instruments as a trio. When you have bass, clarinet, and accordion, is that a common trio? You know, often you think of a guitar and a bass, or keyboards and a bass. I guess accordion is keyboards.
It is. Yeah. It works for me.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I hope it's working for the two of you.
I like it a lot. So let's remind people before we let you go, and thank you so much for coming on today. The New Haven Kapelye has 3 shows this week. It sounds like I might not know of all of them. There are others.
Some of them are semi-private.
Okay. In addition to the private shows, the public can see New Haven Kapelye do holiday shows Saturday, December 21st at 7 p.m. at Best Video in Hamden. Monday, December 23rd at 7 p.m. at the beautiful new atrium space at not atrium, but like the open window glass space, gathering space at Tower 1. And then December 25th, the annual family concert at Congregation Michigan Israel. starting at 4
26th
p.m.
annual. The
Wow.
26th annual.
That's, I know, and it means a lot to people have a place to go on that day. So you got what you got for us to take us out?
Oh, we have a beautiful waltz. It comes from a Yiddish play that was performed on 2nd Avenue back in the 1910s. And the song is called Oy Shloimela. Let's get a little groove going. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much to Dana Aspen, Will Bartlett, David Shevit of the New Haven Kapelye All-Stars. Check them out all over town this holiday season, but also all year long. And Dave, it's always love when you come in the studio and your different iterations of the musical performances you put on in New Haven.
It's so much fun to be here. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks
Always good
to
to
Harry Drost for rolling with us, station manager, making it all come out on all the platforms in the multiverse. We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD, A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day, all night, and all weekend long at New Haven, at WNHH New Haven's home for community radio.